Question 1. Ask how and why instead of what. Most conversations die because we keep asking what questions. What do you do? What's your favorite food? What's your weekend plan? These get short, polite answers. End of thread. But if you swap them for how and why questions, something shifts. How did you get into that? Why do you love that dish? How do you spend your ideal weekend? Now you're inviting stories, not just facts. People light up when they talk about their motivations, struggles, or personal experiences because those answers reveal them, not just surface details. You might hear about a career change sparked by a random childhood event or how a favorite meal connects to their grandmother's kitchen. Suddenly, you're not just chatting, you're making them feel seen. The more depth you create, the more they associate you with meaningful conversations. Try it and notice. People remember those who make them tell their best stories. Second, match their energy without copying. Conversations have a rhythm, and if yours doesn't match the other person's, it feels off. Imagine someone's talking slowly and thoughtfully, and you're bouncing around like you've just had 3 Red Bulls. Or they're excited, animated, using big gestures, and you respond in a flat monotone. The disconnect kills the flow. Matching energy is about tuning into their frequency so you both feel in sync. If they're leaning in, you lean in. If they laugh mid-sentence, you laugh too. If their pace is quick, you tighten yours. If it's slow, you breathe with them. Psychologists call this mirroring, and it's one of the fastest ways to build rapport. But here's the secret. You're not trying to be them. You're just adjusting your dial so the wavelengths meet. Done subtly, it feels effortless, and they'll walk away thinking, I don't know why, but talking to them just felt easy. 3. Drop in unusual but relatable facts. Everyone's been in a conversation that feels like it's circling the same safe topics. Work, weather, weekend plans. You can break that loop with one well-timed, unexpected fact. If you're talking about coffee, you could drop, coffee beans are actually seeds from a fruit, right? Technically, we're all just drinking fruit juice in the morning. It's surprising, funny, and invites a follow-up. Or if the topic is travel, mention that there's a town in Norway where it's illegal to die. The key is to keep it light, relevant, and easy to digest. This way, you're tossing in conversational spice. People remember those little twists because they're rare, and they'll often retell it later with you as the source. This doesn't mean memorizing trivia, just collecting a few quirky nuggets tied to things you genuinely like. Used sparingly, they turn you into the person who makes talks memorable. 4. Use the callback trick. This one comes straight from stand-up comedy, callbacks. A comedian might tell a joke early in the show, then sneak in a reference to it later, and the crowd laughs harder because they feel in on it. In conversation, callbacks make people feel remembered. If someone mentioned earlier that they run with their dog, and later they talk about training for a race, you could grin and say, So, is your dog competing too? It's light, it's personal, and it shows you were listening. Callbacks to be thoughtful. If someone mentioned being nervous about a presentation, circle back an hour later with, Hey, how did it go? This simple act strengthens connection. It makes the conversation feel like one continuous thread rather than random snippets, and people love that kind of cohesion. But even if people love how you connect the dots, they won't stay hooked if your own stories drag. 5. Edit your stories like a pro. 5 minutes into a friend's story, you realize you could have watched the movie version twice by now. And the problem isn't the story, actually, it's the pacing. Most people load up on irrelevant details before getting to the good part. The fix? Start with the punch and fill in only what matters. Instead of, so I was walking down Main Street and saw this restaurant, jump straight to, halfway through dinner the ceiling started leaking. Now you've got their attention. Then you can rewind and explain how you got there. It's how good movies work. Hook first, context after. Editing just means cutting fluff. You're creating space for the other person to react, laugh, or jump in, which makes the exchange feel alive rather than one-sided. Remember, if your story feels tight and vivid, people want more, not less. 6. Use light self-teasing. People trust those who are confident enough to laugh at themselves. A little playful self-tease, I'm the kind of person who can burn toast and the pan it's in, makes you more approachable. It tells people you're human and you don't take yourself too seriously. The thing here is balance. Too much and you sound insecure. Too little and you risk seeming overly polished. The sweet spot is 1 or 2 light moments where you turn a tiny mistake into a shared laugh. Spilled water at lunch? And this is why I'll never be hired as a waiter. Forgot your friend's birthday? Don't worry, I've already submitted myself for Worst Friend of the Year. These moments show self-awareness without self-sabotage. People remember the emotional tone of interactions more than the exact words, and when you make them feel comfortable enough to laugh with you, you've won half the battle. 7. Add because to your opinions. Flat statements end conversations, explained ones spark them. That's my favorite movie might get a nod, but that's my favorite movie because it's the only one that made me cry and laugh in the same scene, invites a story. The word because is a hidden conversation multiplier. It creates a hook for the other person to respond. They can agree, disagree, share a similar experience, or ask questions. This works with everything. I hate mornings because they make me feel like I'm always playing catch up. I love cooking because it's the one time I don't check my phone. The more specific your because, the richer the follow-up, because this way you're handing the other person a thread to pull, and once they pull it, you've turned a one-word answer into a whole new branch of conversation. Once you've got someone talking, you can take it up a notch by giving them a peek behind the curtain. Share behind-the-scenes details. People are naturally curious about how things work behind the curtain. Instead of saying, I work in a bakery, you could say, I work in a bakery, and we can tell it's going to rain by how the dough rises. Instantly, they're hooked. I'm sure even you are right now. And just so they've learned something they didn't know, and they'll probably remember it. The trick is to give them a small, interesting detail that paints a mental picture. If you're into photography, talk about the weird poses people strike for the perfect shot. If you're in retail, share the most unusual customer request you've had. These details are sticky because they make the other person feel like they've been let in on something special. And when you give them something they can picture, it's like handing them a mini movie scene, one they'll remember long after the chat ends. 9. End on a high note. The end of a conversation is the moment people remember most. It's the aftertaste of the interaction. If you wrap up with, anyway, you're leaving them with static. Instead, close with something that leaves a positive charge. It could be a callback to something funny earlier, a genuine compliment like, I'm glad we talked, you always make me laugh, or even planting a next step with something like, we should swap that playlist next time. Even in quick chats, this matters. Think of the last scene in a movie, the one that lingers when the credits roll. That's your ending. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just intentional. When you end strong, you turn that was nice into that was great. And that's the version people retell when they talk about you later. 10. Use the curiosity tease. Now after that, do you want someone to think about you after the conversation? Leave them with a curiosity gap. Instead of unloading your whole story, tease it. Remind me to tell you about the time I accidentally crashed a wedding in Spain. Now they're imagining the scene. You in a foreign country, somehow at a stranger's wedding, and their brain wants closure. They might ask right then, or they might save it for the next time they see you, but either way, you've planted a hook. This works especially well in ongoing relationships, colleagues, friends, new connections, because it gives them a reason to circle back. The trick is to deliver the story later, or it feels like a cheap trick. Used right, it's playful, it's memorable, and it leaves them thinking about you in the best possible way. Just say it. Ever had that awkward moment where you're standing next to someone, dying to start a conversation, but nothing comes out? Your brain's screaming, say something, but your mouth is like, nope, we're on strike. That's how most conversations die before they're even born. The hack? Stop searching for the perfect line. Just say something. Anything. How's your day going? Or, man, this line is brutal. Doesn't matter. The goal isn't to be smooth, it's just to break the silence. Once that first word's out, boom, the pressure's gone. Suddenly, they've got something to respond to. It's like shoving open a stuck door. The first push feels heavy, but once it moves, it swings wide. And here's the secret. Most people want you to start talking. They're just too shy to admit. So quit waiting for brilliance. Drop one small human word, and you've already won. Skip the small talk. You know when someone hits you with the classic, so how's the weather, and your soul just quietly leaves your body? That's small talk. The problem with small talk is that it often feels like background noise. Nobody remembers it, and it rarely ever leads to deep and meaningful conversations. The smarter move? Skip it. Go straight for something personal but light. Ask, where's your family from? Or did you always grow up here? Those questions snap people out of autopilot and pull out a real story. People light up when they talk about their roots, their hometown, or even some weird childhood memory. Suddenly, the convo feels human, not like a job interview. And here's the payoff. Skipping small talk doesn't just make the chat better, it makes you stand out. Small talk fades, real talk sticks. Find the me too moments. Once you've skipped the small talk and asked something real, the next step is locking in that connection. The easiest way? Find the Me Too moment. It's that instant bond when you realize you share something, no matter how tiny. Maybe you both grew up in tiny towns, can't stand pineapple on pizza, or are secretly night owls who hate mornings. When you catch it, highlight it. Drop a quick "same here" or "no way, me too." Suddenly the energy shifts. You're not just swapping information, you're sharing a moment, like buddies swapping memories instead of robots spitting data. That's when people lean in, laugh easier, and actually want to keep talking. Because connection isn't built on fancy lines, it's built on those little sparks of similarity. That tiny Me Too moment is the glue that makes strangers feel like friends. Pay a unique compliment. Here's the truth. People won't always remember your exact words, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And nothing opens a conversation faster than a compliment that feels real. The mistake most people make? They go generic. You're beautiful. You're smart. Nice words, sure, but most of us have heard them so much we've built immunity. They slide right off. Instead, go specific. Not "nice shirt," but "that color makes your eyes pop." Not "you're funny, but the way you time your jokes kills me." Even something playful like "you've got dangerously good taste in memes." See the difference? One's forgettable. The other proves you're paying attention. And when people feel seen, they open up. And that's the secret to conversations that actually stick. The FORD formula. Ever hit that point where the conversation dies and you're staring at each other like zombies? You've broken the ice, skipped small talk, found your Me Too moments, and maybe even dropped a unique compliment. Now, how do you keep the conversation flowing? Meet the Ford formula: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. These four simple categories are your cheat code for effortless conversation. Ask about their family, their work, hobbies, or even future goals. What's your favorite way to spend the weekend? Or any fun plans coming up? It opens the door to instant follow-ups minus the awkward pauses. The beauty? You're not interrogating. They're talking about themselves naturally. Use what they share to pivot to another question, and the conversation practically runs itself. Master this formula and awkward silences don't stand a chance. Ask for an opinion. People love sharing their thoughts. It makes them feel heard, important, and engaged. The key? Keep it light, casual, and super easy to answer. Don't ask anything intimidating like, "what's your stance on quantum physics?" Instead, go simple. "Which coffee shop around here do you like best?" Or, "have you watched that new show everyone's talking about?" Their answer gives you an instant follow-up. "Oh, you like that one? What's your go-to order?" Or, "really? I'd never have guessed." Suddenly, the conversation shifts from small talk to real engagement. Even better, their opinions give you a sneak peek into who they really are, their quirks, favorite things, what makes them tick. Opinions are conversation fuel. Get them talking, and suddenly, silence doesn't stand a chance. Mirror their energy. Now, here's a hack that instantly makes conversations feel smoother and more natural. Mirror their energy. If they're chill and relaxed, slow down, smile, and keep your tone easy. If they're fired up and animated, match that energy, nod along, and show excitement too. It's not about copying them. It is about syncing. Think of it like a dance. When two people move in rhythm, everything flows naturally. Someone quiet? Don't go full hype mode. Someone fired up? Don't respond like a robot. When you get it right, the whole vibe changes. People lean in, laugh more, and open up. Conversations stop feeling forced. Suddenly, even strangers feel like buddies, and connecting with anyone? Effortless. It's like the energy between you just clicks. Be present. Picture this. You're deep in a meaningful conversation, sharing a thought or a story, and halfway through, the person you're talking to glances at their phone. Instant vibe killer. That, my friend, is exactly what not to do. Instead, be fully present. Lean in, make eye contact, and actually listen. Like, really listen. Nod, react, ask follow-ups, and show you care about what they're saying. This is active listening in action, and it beats any perfect line you could throw out. When you're fully tuned in, the other person notices. They feel heard, appreciated, and most importantly, valued. The takeaway? Phones down, eyes on them, brain fully engaged. Walls start to drop, and conversations suddenly feel effortless, fun, and memorable. Humor wins. Here's the secret sauce that makes talking to anyone feel effortless. Laughs. Humor isn't just funny, It's magnetic. Crack a playful joke or point out something silly in the moment randomly, and suddenly people relax and engage. It doesn't have to be stand-up material. Think small, relatable jokes or funny observations, like noticing the coffee line looks like a scene from a zombie movie or joking about your own clumsy mishap. It breaks tension, sparks connection, and suddenly the conversation flows naturally. Laugh together, and people will want to keep talking long after the joke lands. Exit smoothly, not awkwardly. And last but not least, know how to leave a conversation without it getting weird. Exits can feel awkward if you just vanish or stumble over your words. The hack? It's all about signaling naturally. Mention a task, an errand, or drop a friendly, "I've got to run, but this was awesome." Pair it with a smile or a quick compliment like, "Loved hearing about your trip. Keep me posted." This way, you leave on a high note, feeling confident and leaving the other person genuinely happy. No awkward fumbling, no clumsy silence. People walk away thinking, "That was fun," rather than, "Yikes, glad that's over." Master this, and every chat from hello to goodbye just works. And that's a wrap. 10 simple hacks to make conversation with anyone, whether it's a new colleague, a friend you haven't seen in ages, or even a total stranger at a party. Which of these 10 conversation hacks are you most excited to try first? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear, because life's too short for boring small talk. Go out there and start talking the right way. If you enjoyed these tips, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.